Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Timberborn with me, Alpha Omega and Hollowpine. So it's the second day of the 7th cycle and we have 68 happy beavers, happiness 13. Now they're happy but I'm not, because we get a little bit of flooding all the time, because it's kind of hard to balance out the fact that we have basically 2 dams in, 1 dam out. So I'm trying to balance the height of our input dams, basically, and the height of the output dam. We also started using this one to just let out excessive water, which would, fall here into the bad water if we wanted to. But other than that, as I said, beavers are happy. Now, for now, in this episode, the plan is to finish up all of the construction that we have going. There is still quite a lot of it, as you can see, what it's gonna look like. Which, we still have to build the gristmill, the bakery, we have to build the storages, we have a lot of stairs and extensions, some of these contemplation spots, some lamps, shrubs, stuff like that. So all of that needs to be finished. And once we're done with that, we are going to start procuring metal from these ruins. Now the metal is going to be the last part of this tutorial let's play that I'm gonna show before we actually move to the challenge maps, where we are going to tackle some of the much harder concepts, and we're gonna see also some of the more advanced techniques, some of which I will have to learn for each of the challenge maps, because some of them are really specific and require certain skills. But for this let's play and this episode, hopefully, we are going to get metal. We're gonna build 2 large tanks, these ones, and once that is done, I am going to consider this let's play finished, and we're going to jump to our first challenge map. Now, I keep saying that it's not like this map is exactly easy, but it's not really hard. It has its own trappings, and I fell into some of them head first, because again, the distances are actually kind of high, or there is quite a lot of distance to cover. There are fairly intricate waterways here, which might be fun if I was dedicated to actually do something with the map. You could play a lot with it, try to limit the bad water, extend the rivers, and that would be a nice challenge, for example, to make the entire map green. I can imagine that to be a worthy challenge for someone who is learning the ropes. But I kind of don't like these large maps, which is weird. Usually I don't have a problem with this, but when it comes to Timberborn, I prefer strict, nice little compact challenges that you have to tackle. So yeah, the challenge map modes that we're gonna move to are gonna be much harder, but I have to say that we have done really well for ourselves here. The settlement is really nice. I like the look of it. It's really compact. We actually spread out to a number of areas. We even have this little area here. Generally speaking, it is really nice. So yeah, next up is going to be finishing everything in metal, as we have said. Well, I'm back. It's day 7 of 7th cycle, and we're almost done with building everything, but we are seriously out of wood. It might not seem like it, but I actually had to extend the road all the way to here. It wasn't really much of a problem. We just had to build a little bit of stairs, and the beavers just went right on with it. But yeah, there was a lot of oaks here who are no longer there. We've cut them down and we used wood to finish everything. You can see that we now have the gristmill done. We've built a specialized windmill here for it, and we have the bakery here, which is also finished. So we're baking some delicious bread. I've also built another holding post here to employ some of the unemployed. I need was the unemployed beavers, and everything is looking kind of good. We also laid the foundation to going for the iron. You can see the road here, but there is a lot of construction here. The way we're gonna do it is we are going to collect metal here using these scavengers, and they're gonna transport it down here to the large pile which is dedicated to scrap metal. And we'll need to design, I'll probably put it around here, the smelter who actually smelts the iron. Let me see if I can show it here. Yeah, he smelts it into metal blocks. And the metal blocks are what is then used, for example, for the large tanks. You need 30 of those for each. We'll need, however, 60 gears and 80 planks. So a lot of wood will be necessary for that. So, yeah. I'm also kind of trying to, in my mind, oh yeah, we're flooding again. Jesus Christ. This is a bad system. I should have extended, and I'm just too done with this playthrough to actually correct that. But the right way to go would be to extend the levees here all the way to this area, and you can flood here as much as you want. There's a way how you can. Oh, actually, the road started. Let's close up the shops so that we don't get the water spilling out. We can also, okay. You have a ton of water here. Stored. Nice, nice, nice. You are also ghost. Okay. What I was saying. Oh yeah. Way to go would be, to close this off now that we did, and we're gonna do that. It's actually gonna stop, and the flooding is gonna go away, or not, or it's gonna get worse. Is the water falling down from there? But it's fine. It's just gonna spill over. But yeah, as I was saying, I had a lot of time thinking about water and wind power. The best is probably to combine them, have an intricate way how you can set it up so that it never really runs out of power. Now, I don't think I've shown it enough here because we never really built anything too complex. Or you can actually do these vertical power shafts, for example, so you could just build it here and then go all the way up above the water wheel, and put it here so you don't have to limit yourselves with these levees. You can go all the way, using these, for example, to go up here and have something up here like the windmills. If they actually, and that's the thing that I'm really missing. I really wish they would add the wind currents and everything. I'm pretty sure they will. It's gonna get modeled really nicely, as with the water. They got the code for that already in the game, I think, from the water, so the physics are there. But it's gonna be a big change for the upcoming. And there's, that they will be able to do a ton of it eventually, because that's gonna be fun if you have it. You could then, combine properly the wheels, the water wheels and the winds, and you also have, the power wheels here, so you can have it like a backup. So if water and wind fails, you can always use your beavers to power stuff. Isn't that nice? Day 16 of the 7th cycle, and we are almost done with the drought, only 4 days to go. This has been the longest one that hit us yet, 12 days, which is actually, well, they're getting longer and longer. I don't remember what this default is set in the difficulty, but I've seen droughts going well over 20 days, so, but as far as water, we're doing great. We haven't even touched the dam yet. I'm just using this artificial reservoir that we created recently to fill the lake, so we're doing kind of good on that. I think that this one really is the creme de la creme for us, because now, again, if we don't use this dam, we are really good in for additional, say, we could go definitely 15, maybe 18 days, maybe even longer. But at that point, like, we would run out of water, but we would still have, eventually, once we build the large barrels, additional water for, I don't know, another 14 days. Crops would die, but beavers would stay alive, which is the important part. Now, we have started mining the metals, which is going well. You can see our beavers hard at work here, collecting metals. animation for this one is not as good as for other things. But yes, metals are being collected, they are being transported. Here we have 126 scrap metal here, and we also build a smelter here with 2 windmills. There's no wind right now because again it's just purely random. At some points there is wind, at some point there isn't, and here is a large pile for the actual metal blocks. Now you need a little bit of wood and quite a lot of scrap metal to produce one metal block, but other than that it's, it is done. Now my original plan was actually to build it over here. I've added a windmill here for the gear workshop to have it powered even when the water wheel is off. And I thought, hey, let's, I spoke about that in the last update, let's rebuild this, let's not be lazy and rebuild it and show what it should look like. But then I thought, man, like transporting metal across the entire map, that's so inefficient that it just doesn't make sense. So I built it here as I originally intended and decided to have it like this. If I rebuild this, again, as I said, I would probably raise the levees, put the power shafts above it, and I thought about doing another water wheel, another water wheel over here so that we can harness the bad water power as well, because you can, there's nothing telling you that you can't, and we would have enough energy to do everything here. But again, it's just like, this is one thing that I struggle with, the logistics of the things, because I like to build naturally sprawling cities, and I like to enjoy having them grow organically, but then it leads to large inefficiencies like, cutting down trees here and transporting in here. Many of you actually noted, and there was and many of you noted about the inefficiencies, and some of you actually had recently commented that I could do better with the storages, and yes, you are correct, but again, this wasn't really to show you how to be absolutely amazing when it comes to logistics. I tried to show how I play and what are the challenges, and this is one of the challenges. You could potentially, for example, build better paths, you could put the storages a little bit better, you could also have localized storage piles, which would make stuff a little bit better. Like for example, if I build a storage pile here for the forestry that we have here, it would make more sense than transporting it down here and then back up. But again, I kind of like it, and I like to employ my beavers as haulers, so I'd rather have them running around with materials than, spend time building localized smaller storages. But it is true that these small piles are actually pretty useful for this kind of thing, where you can actually have a lot of them locally and then have beavers sort of work as stations. So you can have, for example, a hauling post here, have beavers transporting metal here, have another hauling post here, and have them transporting stuff over here. One thing that I'm missing in the game is the ability to manage these goods, a little bit more than just accept supply or empty. There could be, for example, a storage limit that you could say, for example, which is not making sense to me. Like, you have a pile or you build a large storage which has a capacity of 1,000 and you can only store planks there. That doesn't make sense to me. I would be happy if you could store more than one material in places, but the game is having its logic, which is fine. I'm not gonna complain about it. So yeah, that's that. Now, one thing that I actually wanted to mention also is that I tried to build a water wheel here to actually demonstrate how good the power generation from water is, but it actually was offline most of the time, and I ended up building the windmills here and here. So it kind of leads me to the conclusion that while windmills are also off quite a lot of time, they are on throughout the entire time. But as the droughts will get longer, if you do not have some kind of recycling for your water in place, where you, for example, have, like, I could eventually excavate little ditches that would lead the water back into my settlement to irrigate certain areas. So then it would not be an issue if I let the dam down and have a trickle of water that would power the water wheel, even throughout the droughts. But yeah, really, it turns out that water wheels are not as useful as I originally went here thinking. Like for extended periods of time, they're just not doing anything. They're just standing there. And as I base the logic on the bad side of, we just close it off and pretend like it's not happening, then the water wheel, even during bad tides, just stays there, and it's doing nothing. So in that case, I guess it would be a little bit more effective if I put it on the bad water, because that one flows during regular time and bad tide, and then not during droughts only. It's just something to think about. Again, I mostly use windmills and the power wheels, and after this experience with the water wheel, I'm just gonna settle on that as well. Anyway, as a side note, the beaver happiness oscillated between 14 and 15, so I've unlocked the roofs and added them everywhere, together with other smaller changes like the shrubs and campfires, and now we are settled in 16, so everything is actually looking good. Oh, do we have an injured beaver? Oh yeah, there he is, poor little fellow. Shamra, age 34 days. Happiness 14, working speed, movement speed. Okay, we would need 22 to get that one up. Oh yeah, life expectancy 17, huh? And the working speed is gonna increase to plus 60 at 15. So yeah, most of the beavers have a bonus there. Next stage would be then going, for example, for 22 to extend their lifespan. But yeah, the only thing that we actually miss to make our beavers happy is to have a reliable way how to have every one of them have wet fur. I haven't really shown that before, because I use it. This playthrough has been a little bit weird. I kind of changed a lot of my strategies going into this one, to experiment myself a little bit. So what I usually do is there's this building called a shower, which you can have near any kind of source, any kind of water source, and just build it like this, and the beavers can shower there and they can have a lot of wet fur. But considering we had a lot of them moving past the water, I kind of omitted that for this one, and now it's kind of haunting me. So showers are really cheap. They cost 1 plank and 10 logs, and you can build them anywhere like this, and beavers will just come and wet their fur. So it's a cheap, nice building. Last but not least, we're actually kind of accumulating the research points fairly slow, which might be a little bit. Actually, no, we have enough for the large things. But I wanted to unlock a couple more buildings before the end, so we could now do the large things. Usually, I would just go for the observatory a long time ago, because that one gives you way more research points than the inventor hut. But considering this was a limited playthrough anyway, with a clear playthrough, I didn't feel like spending 1,000 on that would be good. Plus, to do that, you actually need a pine resin, which is something that I haven't really explained much. I don't think we have pines here anywhere that would be mature. So once we have that, I'm gonna show it to you. But you can gather additional resources from your pines. Like here, you see, once they mature, after 7 days, they are going to yield pine resin, which you can gather using a building called Tapper's Shack, and that is used for additional advanced buildings, and you would need it for the observatory here as well. But again, I omitted it. We're gonna do it during the challenge maps, because it brings a lot of extra science, and you can effectively replace the inventor's hut with 2 observatories and you would be fine. But again, limited scope, limited time, limited amount of research points to spend. Day 1 of 8th cycle. We have just entered the drought, and really, I haven't even touched the main dam. So we're doing good on water. We've let out all of this, but it kept our main lake and everything fine, so I'm happy. That is an additional nice source of water. Look how much water we have here. That is really, 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 really nice. It's gonna fill because the water is coming back, and then we can just, you know, unlock this and have the water flow again, which which is gonna improve the efficiency here, because you are producing 111 and you need 120, and efficiency is not bad, which is not bad. We have unlocked the large tanks, and you can see that we're gonna build 2 of them here, which is gonna give us additional 2,400 capacity, considering we have 135, I think, 90, yeah, 135 at this point. This is, you know, an extreme overkill. But as I said, for extended droughts, you would need this kind of water storage just to be safe, that even if all water dries out and you have like 30 days, you know, you're okay. You can also combine it with the fluid dump. You can put, for example, some fluid dumps over here or here, and have your beavers actually take the water from the tanks and refill the water in your rivers using this kind of technique. So there is a way how you can do this. Ironically, you know, the compression of the water in the tanks is insane, because 1200 units of water is way more than you could fit into, what is it, 3x3 units of water here. But yeah, it is a way, like you could have, I don't know, 6 of them here, have the water constantly pumped into them, and during the droughts you can just take the water out of them and refill it. It is possible, you can do it that way. That's one technique that you can use to keep yourself safe from extended droughts. Anyway, once we finish these, we are going to consider this episode and playthrough finished. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to do it during a couple next updates. Now with the Happiness 16, I have decided to actually build a couple more hammocks, which are additional, you know, happiness buildings that the beavers can use to enjoy and rest. I'm not sure if any of them actually had the time to use it yet. Nope. The videos are actually, you know, underperforming severely, but you know, that's just because there's not enough water, and that one is not able to carry the weight. So, you know, I should have planned it better. But again, this, I'm 100% sure this is a bug. This is a bug of the game, because I never seen it do that before. Like once there's no flow, this one is considered immediately unusable, and that's not right. Plus the water goes through these dams, and I have no idea why. But you know, nothing can be perfect, and you know, first time I discovered a bug in Timberborn, I'm happy about that. So yeah, I think that is actually all that I wanted to say. Wanted to add an additional thing that I never really explained before, but the way you actually can store water in your storage tanks and then refill your water reservoirs with it. There is also a way how to do this with energy. There is something called gravity battery, which is a building you can unlock. It looks like this, and if you gain extra power from your windmills or water wheels, it will lead to you basically taking this gravity battery and hanging it lower and lower and lower, and once you use that to store energy, and once the actual power into the network, or whatever you want to call it, goes down, they will start pulling that weight back up, and it will generate energy that you're missing. And it's one of the few buildings that actually is dependent on the, I think it's the only building that's dependent on energy, because the higher you put it, the bigger the up and down movement of the weight can be. So putting it somewhere like, well, not here above the city, but finding a really high point like here, putting it here would be ideal, because you would have an extreme amount of power stored in each one of these batteries. So you could put them on the overhang here, or here above the water, you know, and play with that. So I kind of like it. I use it very rarely. I actually think I used it only like once or twice because they're kind of expensive when you look at the cost. They need metal and they need 40 gears and 40 planks. And it always seemed like a better choice for me to, for example, build more windmills and build more water wheels. But I'm kind of changing my mind on that again because the combination of water wheels and windmills still doesn't really work for us in these regards. So still might be a good idea to build some of these and have them around. I'll probably test them more during the challenge maps because they might be more useful than I give them credit for. But yeah, it's a good idea to try to connect all of these buildings that you have, like the gear workshop, the smelters, have them in the same place, connect them to same sources of energy. Like we could have them all in one area. You know, this was a little bit weird having them so spread out over the map. The same thing with the grist mill. It's really ineffective, and I will give you that. But you know, again, organic growth. And once you have a lot of space, I tend to just not give a damn and just be a little bit wasteful on spending these resources. But yeah, it's, you know, then it looks a little bit better. But you know, the downside, you need more windmills and everything. But again, these ones, for example, could be easily connected. We could make a power shaft around here down and connected to it, though I don't really see a reason because, you know, when these mills are, or when these windmills are going, this one is going as well for the same amount of power, so, you know, there was no reason for that. Day 5 of cycle 8, and we are about halfway done with the large tanks. One of them is at 70%, one of them is at 40%. Now the real blocker here really is the gears, because we need 60 of those, while we need only 30 metal blocks. So I'm thinking, oh my god, you're flooding again. I mean, yeah, I'll need to build another gear workshop here to make it go faster, but we shall see. We shall see. I'm actually really drowning in logs and planks right now, to the point where we actually are not even cutting down all of the trees that we have available because we don't have anywhere to store them. So even the lumberjacks are full. You know, I've kind of, you know, moved on to holding pattern where I'm just waiting for these to be finished. So yeah. I guess the gear workshop is gonna be my next move. In the meantime, I've been looking around on the water and found out there is a really nice like a cranny here or a nook where you can store more water. So I actually removed the bucket here and we're filling it out just for fun, you know. But again, this map is really good in this. I was kind of thinking that to a certain point you could even fill extremely large parts of the map with water. It is contingent to that. Like for example, this area around here, if we actually manage to close the bad water source and we, you know, closed this part and this part, you could make it a massive large tank. You could basically just, you know, have the water go through here and there and, you know, fill it all the way up to this level. So that would be kind of cool. I don't know how you would use it. You would, well, you could probably build a little bit of an aqueduct. Yeah, that would work. Like if we connected, because it's higher. So if you were okay with having just one level of water and build but the floodgates here and everything else was just a levee up to this line, you could lead the water down here and just have it fill this area. So that is also a possibility. Like there's a lot of things that you can do in these maps that it just requires a little bit of imagination and determination, and you can, you know, do way more than you would think you can. Alright, happy with that flooding gone. It's just, you know, uneven amounts of water going there and back. It's gonna fix itself. Same here, you know, like these entire areas could be filled, like these, we've already commented on that. I think this area could be filled with water. You could do a lot here if you really wanted to. But yeah, for us, we have our goals set, and I'm looking forward to moving on. This actually looks really neat, doesn't it? these little windmills here and the smelter up there with the wheat fields here. I like that. I like the look of that. Day 9 of 8th cycle, and we have drought for 9.3 days more. But we're doing good. We actually finished the first water tank, and as you can see, it has a capacity of 1200. So current capacity, according to the game, is... Will you show me? You show me game. Why are you not showing me? Ah, here. 1290. We'll see if they actually fill it, because we have a large population, 72 beavers, so I'm not sure if we're not at a point where we're actually even. So, we'll see. But yeah, I'm pretty much just waiting for the second barrel to finish. The metal blocks are falling in, and gears are falling in. I actually built a second gear workshop here, connected it all through this nice power shaft to make sure that it's properly powered. And yeah, well, now we just wait. Now, I think I mentioned already before that you can collect the pine resin if you want, and the trees look a little bit different like this when they are ready to be harvested. So if you wanted to, there is a building for this called the Tapper Shack. We could do it even now. We have the gears, we have the planks, we have the wood, and you collect it. He also collects maple syrup, which is used in, I think, baking cookies. I always forget about the recipe that's using that. I know it's the bakery. Yeah, maple pastries. Maple pastries require wheat flour, maple syrup, and a little bit of log, and maple pastries. So you can collect maple syrup from maple trees, which I haven't planted in this map at all, but you can use those to collect maple syrup. So you can not only have plantations to be harvested, but you can have specialized plantations to have the pine resin collected, and the pine resin is then used in where is it here in wood workshop, and you use the pine resin to create treated planks, which are an advanced form of planks used to build the end game buildings, like for example the observatory, which requires actually no, that one requires actual pine resin, but there are certain buildings that require treated planks, and of course, because I said like a mine, if we wanted to build a mine, which is an infinite source of scrap metal, we would need to have 200 treated planks to do that, and 350 gears and 250 logs. But yeah, that is a way you can go as well, and that's another type of resource and supply chain that you would need to build and use. Now, there's a couple of things that I haven't gotten into in this playthrough, but they are all working like this. Basically, it's an advancement on what you've already seen, and it just makes things more complex and make you, use your resources even better. So, yeah, pine resin would be one of those. And again, I haven't even planted, for example, the maple tree. But what I did a couple of times is I had specialized maple plantation where you had sections the same as we have with the berries here, which we haven't used in a while. So you have the maple trees somewhere and you don't cut them down, but you actually let them produce maple syrup, which can be then harvested. Same way as wheat is, same way as the cattails, it is a resource. Day 16 of cycle 8, and we are done with this tutorial playthrough. We finished the second tank. You can see that we have more water than we had during the last playthrough. I think we had something like 200 and 461. So even with a population of 72 beavers, it is enough to have just 3 pumps that are running overtime. So water is being stored, as I said, with 2,490. We would have more than enough water to... consider each of the beavers requires like 3 units of water per day. So we would last additional, what would that be? 10 extra days, even if all water was gone, which is more than enough. So we would have like 15, 25, maybe 30 days of survivability on this area. Now you can see that we really are not harvesting any trees at this point. We have just way too much. I stopped, building things, so it just lays around. Beavers are working, they're enjoying themselves. They have a lot of things. Happiness hasn't dropped below 15 in a while, but I've also didn't do anything apart from building a couple of hammocks, lamps and stuff like that to make them happy. So what would I say about these couple of episodes? Well, I enjoyed it greatly. I hope you did as well. It was always intended as a tutorial into the game. It's gonna be different on each of the maps, but the mechanics are the same, of course. And I hope you enjoyed it. As I said, there are a couple of things I haven't really covered, like metal working in more ways than one, because the metal blocks can be used to build artificial beavers. Believe it or not, you can have mines, you can use bad water. I haven't shown that off at all. It's an entire thing where you harvest it, and using centrifuge you actually get essence of bad water. I haven't really shown contamination of the beavers, which they can swim in bad water and get sick out of that, so that's one thing that I haven't really shown. I haven't really gotten much into the monuments, which are endgame things. You can see that they cost a ton of things, but they work as an endgame goals for you, which you can get to. But all of these are based on what you have already seen, because if you establish a self-sufficient colony that can survive droughts and bad tides, you can pretty much, if you have space to have tree plantations and fields, there's pretty much nothing that can stop you, because even if you fail and screw something up, you can just go around and fix it, so you have enough time because you are safe. So the important part is always to establish yourselves first, and then you can experiment and see what you can do, how many beavers you can get and what they can do. It's up to you. But anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to post them. I will be happy to address them. I will be happy to discuss anything with you. Otherwise, I really hope that you enjoyed it, and we are going to move to what I was looking for towards this whole time, the challenge maps. So, thank you very much, and I'll see you in episode 1 of the next challenge map. Till then, you guys, take care. I want to have a sunrise. What a way to end a playthrough.